This is a public service announcement regarding the use of stem cells in scientific research and whether they are morally justified.
The main question we will be addressing is on the topic of stem cell research and whether it is a medical revolution, societal detriment, or perhaps both. First, we need to clear up the basics. Stem cells are cells that have the remarkable potential to develop into many different cell types in the body during early life and growth. They also serve as a sort of internal repair system, dividing essentially without limit to replenish other cells as long as the person or animal is still alive. They're incredibly controversial in scientific research, but we'll get there later. Stem cells have three main properties. They are capable of dividing and renewing themselves for long periods, they are unspecialized, and they can give rise to specialized cell types. There are two main types of stem cells, embryonic and tissue-specific. Embryonic stem cells exist only in the earliest stages of development, while tissue-specific stem cells appear during fetal development and remain in our bodies throughout life. Now for a little history lesson on stem cells. Embryonic stem cells were first discovered in mice in 1981 by Martin Evans. From there, the use of stem cells in research has exploded. From the cloning of Dolly the sheep to growing human embryonic cells in the lab, stem cell research has proved to be a controversial topic from the start. It has been awarded with Nobel Prizes, but it has also been limited in its funding due to ethical reasons by our two latest presidents. This brings us to our very first ethical topic on the use of human stem cells in scientific research. There are obviously many reasons that stem cells are used for research. They can generate information about the events of human development, used in the testing of new drugs, and can be used to generate cells and tissues used for cell-based therapies. With all these benefits, it is a wonder why the use of stem cells has been heavily debated in the past years. Perhaps the most controversial debate is where we draw the line. When does scientific research become destroying life? How do we determine when enough is enough? Most arguments do not revolve around whether the line is drawn, but rather where it is placed within the context of scientific discovery. The most controversially used stem cell is the human embryonic stem cell mentioned earlier. Many people see this as a form of murder, as the cell can potentially develop into a fetus. However, many scientists see these cells as non-living since they have not been fertilized. They can be an incredible window into the human body. As a society, it is difficult to look beyond the life potential in the embryonic stem cells and look towards the medical benefit. We often ask ourselves, why not just use adult stem cells? The reason is that adult stem cells do not reproduce limitlessly, as embryonic do. Also, embryonic stem cells can make any of the more than 200 different cell types and tissues. Adult stem cells are only capable of making a limited number of cell types. Each side of the spectrum is entitled to their beliefs. Generally, those for embryonic cell research feel a supposed duty to prevent or alleviate suffering, while those against it feel an obligation to respect the value of human life. After examining all perspectives, it is evident that scientific exploration by means of stem cell research is imperative to advances in medicine and our knowledge of the body. Here's why. It gives us keen insight to how a human fetus develops. This allows scientists to view how cancer and other developmental errors occur and how we can prevent or treat these mistakes in the future. Stem cells are being tested to treat Parkinson's disease. They are replacing the affected cells because they produce the proper dopamine to lessen the effects of the disease. New research has shown stem cells to be successful in treating burn victims. There are many different ways that stem cells can be introduced to the skin, replacing damaged tissue. The second ethical topic we will be addressing is the ownership of genetic material, or gene patenting. Let me introduce you to Henrietta Lacks, the woman who embodies the ethics of stem cells. Her cells were derived from a cancerous mass in her cervix, and their uncontrollable growth has proved to be the basis of fundamental scientific knowledge, including the testing of the polio vaccine and development of new cancer treatments. However, Henrietta's cells were taken without her consent. Her nor her family received compensation for the incredible work her cells have achieved. These tissue-derived cells proved to be the most influential in medical history, but Henrietta never lived to see this day, nor did she give her permission. There are many benefits and downfalls of gene patenting. Although it is essential to the biotechnology industry, people believe they have a right to make decisions regarding their own bodies, and it leads to the idea that humans are nothing more than property. In the past 30 years, there have been few laws set in place to protect human tissues from research. Among them are the Common Rule and HIPAA. These laws outline the guidelines of informed consent and define the boundaries of personal medical information. The public has many different views on tissue ownership, the main being property, privacy or bodily integrity, and a blended view. Next, we will look at these perspectives in detail. Some people view their bodily tissues as property, or something they own in its entirety. They believe that it is their right to decide what occurs with their genetic material, as it is a part of their body. The people who view tissue ownership as a right of privacy feel that their body has a connection with the soul. Therefore, they have the right to make decisions regarding their bodies because it is a part of themselves. Some people believe in a mix of the property and privacy perspectives, though undeniably, gene patenting leads to a greater understanding of genetic material and can lead to biotechnology breakthroughs. People should be required to give consent for their genetic material to be used for research, and here's why. Henrietta Lacks' family received no financial compensation for her incredibly useful cells. In Rebecca Skloot's novel, she outlines the lives of Henrietta's family members, unaware of their mother's medical contributions while living in poverty. Families of donors should be informed of the individual's contributions and should be able to receive benefits for their accomplishments. When people are required to give consent before their genetic material is used for research, it provides protection, both privacy and confidentiality, for the individual. It ensures that their medical records will not be exploited, and it prevents future lawsuits. Henrietta Lacks' family had no idea that her cells had proved to be this influential in the course of medicine. Although taking her sample proved to be an incredible medical revolution, her consent would have saved her family years of trouble and prevent the conflict between the doctors and the family members. After reviewing all angles, it comes down to a single statement. Your genetic material is you, and therefore you are able to decide whether you would like to donate your tissues to research. Just like signing to be an organ donor at the DMV, enlisting in the armed forces, and reviewing this presentation right now, you have the ultimate power over your own body. A final report. Without a doubt, stem cells, both adult and embryonic, are essential to scientific technology. The information they provide about human development and the availability of cell-based therapies they provide are incredibly useful and needed for the progression of science. Luke In from Harvard Medical School states that
We have a duty, when our means allow, to aid those who suffer. If we spurn stem cell research, not one more baby is likely to be born. If we conduct research, we may relieve suffering. Therefore, stem cell research is permissible and praiseworthy.
regarding the ownership of genetic material, consent of the individual is critical for the benefit of the population, and genetic material belongs to the individual. After much research, it is evident that a legalized consent form is the most beneficial to our population because it protects the person and their family and also prevents future lawsuits and disagreements.